Matter of Versa Integrated Solutions Incorporated. April 13, 2022. Versa Integrated Solutions Incorporated protests the rejection of its proposal as late under request for proposals issued by Department of Health and Human Services, Food and Drug Administration, for audio and visual support services. The protester contends the agency lacked a reasonable basis for rejecting its proposal. Versa contends the agency's rejection of its proposal as late was unreasonable because Versa submitted its proposal prior to the deadline, and the agency was in control of its proposal following that submission. In this case, the contracting officer was advised that the agency had received Versa's Part 1 proposal via email, but the email was then quarantined by the agency's server. Specifically, the agency's event log shows the agency's server received Versa's proposal prior to the deadline, but its proposal was quarantined because the email contained macro files that generally contain malicious code or computer viruses and are harmful to IT environments. Thus, the proposal did not reach the contract specialist or the contracting officer by the deadline. Versa argues the agency should have accepted its proposal because 1. There is no risk of undue delay given that the procurement is already delayed during pendency of the current protest, and 2. Its proposal was received by the agency's server, and was therefore under government control prior to the time set for the receipt of proposals. In other words, Versa argues that its proposal should have been accepted as timely because the agency had control of its proposal following the submission. Our office has previously addressed this very issue. We concluded that FAR Provision 52.212-1 F2I(b) does not apply to quotations that are submitted electronically. We decline Versa's request to overturn our prior decisions. FAR Provision 52.212-1 F2IA applies, by its express terms, when a proposal has been submitted by an electronic commerce method, and permits such a late proposal to be considered for award only if it was received at the initial point of entry to the government infrastructure no later than 5 p.m. the preceding working day. If we were to view late electronically transmitted proposals as eligible to be considered for award under FAR Provision 52.212-1 F2IB, regardless of whether they were received at the initial point of entry by the preceding working day, such a view would effectively render FAR Provision 52.212-1 F2IA a nullity. In that situation, a proposal rejected under FAR Provision 52.212-1 F2IA could be considered under FAR Provision 52.212-1 F2IB, a result we do not believe was intended. Statutes and regulations must be read and interpreted as a whole, thereby giving effect to all provisions. The protest is denied.